This segment is brought to you by JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com and use promo code PNF20 and save 20% off your next jig order today. Hello, and welcome back to the Paddle and Fin podcast. This is Adventures with Outdoorwoman, and here's your host. This is Susie Roloff.
Hey guys, Susie Q here with Adventures with Outdoorwoman podcast, and I've got a solo episode for you guys today, so take a seat back, take a watch. We'll kind of go over what's happened, what's going on, and what's going to be happening here in the next month and a half or so. Crazy to believe that we are already in the last part of August. What has happened to this year? Like, I can't even right now. Between, Corona and furloughs and having lakes shut down to feeling like having all the tournaments all together all at once. It's been a crazy ride so far, but it's been pretty awesome and pretty adventurous. So we'll kind of backtrack a little bit here. So we're going to go back to July. I was headed up to Lake Mendota on part of the Madison chain in Madison, Wisconsin for a KBL Members Choice Tournament on the 19th, which was a Sunday. And a couple days before, I was packing for that, but also packing for a family vacation. Because once I was done with the tournament on Sunday, I was going to drive straight up to meet my family up in Minocqua for a family vacation for that week. And so I have a little wristband thingy that I have as part of an identifier for a multi-species season-long tournament that I use that we just have to have present in our pictures when we submit. Anyway, so that detail will come important here in just a minute. So when I was packing, I was like, I'm just going to put this on the fence of my board. That way, I don't easily lose it or set it down and forget where I put it and whatnot. And I'd also had a HOBBOS sticker on the fence of my board too, from the Kentucky Lake event, and they were pretty close in colors. So yeah. Anyway, so tournament day comes, and I'm on some pretty good fish. I'm on some pretty good smallmouth fish right away. My biggest was an 18. And, I was doing pretty good. So I was like, all right, about 9 o'clock, I had a pretty solid limit and was pretty confident and submitted it. And I think I was in second or third after I submitted everything. So I was like, all right, this is awesome. Doing pretty good. And so I was like, I'm going to keep on fishing, still try to catch some kickers and some bigger fish. And not too long after, I got a message from one of the other staff members saying, hey, you got a wristband identifier thingy on the fence of your board. And I was like, oh crap. So it is very clear as day in the rules that you can't have anything on the fence of your board that could subsequently alter the length of your fish. Now granted, a little silicone wristband like that is, very, very small diameter. But it's still, regardless of the fact that, it's a rule, and I had paid no attention to it because, I was already in vacation mode. And, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to make sure that it's not in any of the other pictures that I submit for and just keep on fishing. And after that message, I felt like I wanted to throw up. So I gave Adam a quick call and kind of told him what was going on. And he's like, well, you can only do what you can do now. So just get out there and try to catch some more fish and try to upgrade. And I had 4 photos of fish that did get disqualified. But I was able to replace all 4 of those. And it was probably about 11:30 I'd submitted my last fish, and from being in like the top 3, I was now in 9th place. So I was like, okay, you know, that's not too horrible, but I would like, you know, try to get a little bit better. And so I kind of noticed that my drive was acting a little weird. My drive handle, it kind of felt like it was kind of sticking and not really turning real well. And I was like, all right, well, this isn't good. And at that time, I was probably about 50 yards away from a dock, and I was fishing along this limestone cliff wall that was over to my left. It was probably maybe only about 30 yards away from me. And then, of course, you know, the whole main lake on the other side, you know, lots of boat traffic and everything. So, you know, you're feeling the waves as they come by. And especially with the cliff wall being over there, the reverb from the waves would definitely, you know, get me moving too. Yeah, so eventually what had happened, which I had found out just a couple weeks ago, is the belt that controls my 360 drive up in the handle area had just completely snapped. Don't know how I snapped it. You know, just one of those things with, you know, new product of the year, you're going to have, you know, different flaws and stuff and whatnot. Well, so it had bunched up inside the handle part and was causing it to just seize up on me and not be able to turn at all. So my drive was stuck pointing to the right. And regardless of how much I had turned my rudder, I couldn't get myself straight. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this could kind of be a bad situation here. And so I was getting a little bit closer to that dock. I was like, all right, I'll just get to that dock. I'll get out and try to see what I can figure out. And so I had just started to kind of coast over to the dock. And I was leaning over kind of back behind me to reach my paddle. Because I was like, well, I can't go straight because my drive wants to go right, even with my rudder and my skeg fully down. I was like, all right, yeah, this isn't good at all. And I'd reached over, and I was so close to that dock, and I'd reached, and for like a split moment, the waves were, you know, bumping me too. And for a split moment, I was kind of hovering on that edge of, oh, I'm going to fall over. Oh, nope, I'm okay. And, oh, nope, I'm totally going over. Went all the way over. So, yeah. As soon as I like went in the water, it was just one of those experiences and one of those things where you're just like, did this just really happen? Oh, okay, yeah, this really just happened. And so I was stunned for a split second, well, a couple seconds, and I was like, okay, all my stuff. Okay, like, yeah, it just, like, it was like a flurry of, you know, thoughts and emotions going through me, and I was like, okay, calm down, get it together, you know, I'm alive, I'm okay, I'm not hurt, you know, and the great thing was I was only in about 6.5 foot of water, which played in my favor, so that was definitely a good thing. And yeah, the water was warm too, so it was definitely a good time of year to have that happen in a sense. And I was like, okay, all right, get my bearings together and figure out what I need to do next. And so yeah, the dock is kind of in front of me a little bit, and my kayak is kind of to the left of me. I mean, it's completely flipped over, you know, and at this time and point, I have no idea like what's still in it, on it, or anything like that. So I was like, okay, all right. You know, I'm trying to push it over, but it feels like it's stuck. You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, this isn't good. Like, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't really move it. And I was like trying to like push it to try to flip it back over, and it wouldn't budge. I was like, all right, this isn't good. So then I actually pulled my whistle out of my PFD and I started blowing on that thing. Like, I was blowing on it loud and a lot. And you know, there wasn't any boats going by at the time, you know, but previously, you know, some had went by. So I was like, all right, well, that's not working, so what do I do next? So I'd seen that there were some steps to this dock that went right up to it. I was like, oh, thank God, you know. So I went over there, kind of sat on the steps a little bit, took a few breaths, kind of collect myself. I was like, okay, I'm going to start taking whatever I have up underneath from another kayak. Then I'm like, oh, my phone! And I just realized, well, not realized, but I was smart from losing my phone last October that I had a tether on it, and it was still tethered to the kayak. So I was reaching up underneath there, and sure enough, I felt it, unclipped it, you know, and put it up on the dock right away to make sure that it wasn't, you know, too waterlogged or anything like that. The case that I have on it isn't necessarily like a waterproof or watertight case, but you know, it wasn't submerged for too long to where it had much damage. But first thing I did again was call Adam, you know, and of course the speaker in the headset part and even in the mouthpiece was pretty waterlogged. So like when I called him, I couldn't hardly hear him, and he said that I was pretty kind of muffled or whatever too. But so I called him and I was like, so don't freak out when I tell you this. And he was like, okay. And I was like, so I flipped the kayak, and he's like, okay. I'm like, I'm okay. I just gotta, you know, figure things out and get it tipped back over and go from there. And I was like, I'll keep you updated. And he's like, okay. So then I sent a SOS to the Kayak Bass League group, seeing if any other anglers were on Lake Mendota to see if maybe they could come help me out or anything. Fortunately, you know, nobody was, which was okay. You know, I was like, all right, you know, I mean, I'm used to being out there by myself and doing things on my own. I was like, all right, I got to figure this out. So I started pulling stuff from up underneath the kayak and throwing it up on the dock. You know, my gearboxes, my net, my paddles, you know, everything. And I was like reaching up underneath to where my crate was, and I felt one rod. I was like, oh, are all my rods in there? And felt up underneath, and you know, all 7 of my rods had stayed in their rod holder. And I was like, I wonder if that's why I can't get up, because there were some shallow weeds in the area that I was. So when it did flip over, the rods couldn't really slide out all the way because the weeds kind of stopped them. But I mean, it still made it turn upside down, which unfortunately did break 3 of my rods. And I have now also discovered that a couple of eyelets on a couple other rods have broken on me too, but that's beyond the point. Anyway, so I was like, oh, I've got all my rods. So it was pretty tricky to get them up out of there too, and I might have very well broken a couple of them in the process. But at that point I was like, I don't care what it takes to get the kayak flipped back over. Like this is not a good situation to be in. Granted, I wasn't in any immediate danger or anything like that. So I started taking everything out and putting it back up on the dock and whatnot, and I was like, okay, gotta, you know, figure out how I'm gonna flip this thing back over. And you know, in that span of probably 20-25 minutes to a half hour, I hadn't seen any boats come close or go by or anything like that. And I was like, you know, this is just my luck. And then this sweet lady, I don't know, she was maybe in her 50s or 60s or so, in it was like kind of like an ocean kayak thing, comes paddling by. I was like, hey, I just flipped my kayak, can you come help me out? And she comes right over. She's like, oh my gosh. So she starts helping me out, and I had everything, you know, already taken out of it and ready to go. So we eventually were able to flip it back over pretty easily. And once we got it flipped back over and everything, I was like, okay, you know, I just gotta take account to see what you know, I still need to try to find or get or whatever. And then I was like, my truck keys, where are those? So I have a little gear bag behind my chair that I usually put them in a zipper pocket. Well, 10 minutes before I flipped, about 10 or 15 minutes before, I have like a little pair of like clippers and pliers in there that I'll use sometimes that I had just used. And I put it back in there, and of course, you know, me being me, I was like, you know, I didn't zip it up right away. Well, yeah, you can see where this is going. I was like, oh crap. So I dug apart that little seat bag thing, and no truck keys were to be found. And I was like, oh my god, this is awful. So I texted Adam. I was like, lost truck keys, going to look for them, keep you updated. And then I let the group know too. I was like, I lost my truck keys, like, yeah, trying to find all my stuff. And so I spent the next, I don't know, 40 minutes diving around with, diving down on the water and then feeling with my feet, trying to find my keys. I found my catch board doing that. I was like, oh yeah, my catch board. Come on, a couple other little random things that it kind of sank to the bottom too. Meanwhile, floating away, I've got like 4 plastic bags of baits that are floating away. A couple of my Gatorade bottles were floating away, and I was like, you know what? Usually I would be really worried about that, but I was like, I gotta get these truck keys, man. I don't want to be stuck out here all day. And I was like, of course it's a Sunday, there's no dealership that's gonna be open or anything. So I was dead set determined to find those truck keys. And so I was like, all right, just gotta keep finding. And like this lady, she was trying to help, so she would like stick my net down to the bottom and would kind of like scrape across the bottom, trying to see if she couldn't scoop them up. And I finally got out and took a little bit of a break, and I was just like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then I heard a push mower going. So the house of the dock that we were at, the owner was out mowing their yard, and I ran up that dock, up into this guy's yard to flag him down. I was like, hey. And he's like, whoa, hey. And I was like, listen, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I flipped my kayak. I'm like, right down here at your dock. Do you have goggles or anything like that? And he's like, yeah, let me see if, like, my wife has some or something like that. It's like, oh my God, that'd be so great or whatever. So, like, he goes in, and I go back down, and 5 minutes later, he comes down with, like, a snorkel mask and a snorkel. And I was like, oh my God, you are, like, my savior right now. And so put that on, start diving down. And the great thing about Lake Mendota is it's not like crystal clear water. It was kind of somewhat stained. They had experienced an algae bloom a couple weeks before, so it was still kind of had some staining to it, but like you could still see really well. So like when I was about, I don't know, maybe like 2 foot from the bottom, I could see the bottom. So that was really good. So I started diving down, I was like, oh, my little pocket knife, found that, and I dove down. I was like, oh, a couple of my jackhammer chatterbaits. I was like, oh, yep, that's good. And it was probably about the 15th time I've dove down, I saw the little red tag on my truck keys, and I shot out of the water, and I screamed. I was like, I found my truck keys! And, oh my God. The amount of relief that came off of me when I found those keys was just unbelievable. I called Adam right away. I was like, I found my truck keys! And I sent the message to everybody else. I was like, I found the keys. Everything's all right. I'm okay. And so I was like, all right. The kayak's upright. I've got all my stuff recovered. Let's put everything back on the kayak and let's just get out of here. When I had looked at my watch before I took off, it was 2:15. So I flipped over at 11:45, and it took me, like 2.5 hours to get back upright, get everything collected and everything. So I get back on the kayak, and right away I noticed that it's like, whoa, it feels really weird. I open up my front hatch, and it's full of water. So I'm like, well, this is gonna be fun. So I had to paddle the whole entire way back because, again, that pedal, the pedal drive was still kind of stuck, but I was able to straighten it up before we had taken off, so that helped in a sense, and I just had my rudder to use. But man, like it would kind of teeter one way, so I'd have to like kind of pedal like this for a while, and then it kind of teeter the other way, so I'd kind of have to counterbalance that, and it probably took me, about 25 minutes to get back to the dock, which it was really close. If nothing would have went wrong and it wouldn't have been full of water and the drive was working, it'd probably only take me 5 minutes to get back to the dock, but it took me about 25. So it was slow going, but once I got back to the launch, the lady's husband was there waiting for us too. I think she had called and let him know, like, hey, I'm helping this poor girl out and everything. Her name's Donna, by the way, lives there in Madison, and, like, seriously, like a guardian angel. I mean, if it weren't for her, who knows what would have happened. So got back, emptied all the water out and everything, and, finished my drive up north to Minocqua. And got up to our little cabin that we were staying at, and yeah, kind of took a little bit of a breather to kind of collect my thoughts. And I hadn't even known like what had happened with like the tournament or anything from there and whatnot. So, but I did end up getting ninth. But in the grand scheme of things, you know, between flipping and having the disqualified fish and everything, still getting ninth place out of 39 anglers, I think is still pretty darn good. So yeah, it was definitely an adventure. So we spent that week up there. There was a small Hobie dealer up there, so I took the 360 up there to see if they might be able to try to figure out if they could fix it or whatnot. And they had only ever taken like the clutch off of it before, so they didn't really have much experience with that. So they took the clutch out and didn't really see much in there. So they're like, well, we think it might be the belt or something like that. I was like, okay, you know, I'll just stop by Quest on my way home, drop it off there, and let him do what he needs to do. I've got the Pro Angler 14 at home that I can use in the meantime while it's getting fixed. So a couple of buddies of mine, which one of them I've had on my podcast before, Martin Quick, and also Greg Vickers, they live up in the Minocqua area. And Greg Vickers had a Hobie 14, PA 14 that he let me borrow. And me and met up with Marty later on Wednesday. And took me to a lake, and we had an absolute ball. If you guys ever haven't hung out with Martin Quick, like he is such a goofy character, and he will bring so much like energy and positivity and just goofiness to you, and it was definitely what I needed to help bring my spirits back. So yeah, we spent the day fishing, and, you know, we were targeting, like, pike and muskie, and, you know, unfortunately, he caught the 2 muskie, but that's okay. We had an awesome time, caught some awesome pike, caught a lot of fish. Like, I can't even remember how many fish we caught that day, and I have, like, 6.5 hours of footage still on my GoPro, which I haven't even had a chance to go through yet, so yeah, that'll probably be a project coming here later on once I do find some free time, because time as of late has been getting super busy. So let's see here. After the vacation, that following weekend, which is the first weekend in August, I had the next Kayak Bass League tournament on Lake Wisconsin. And so that was a pretty fun and interesting time. And didn't do too bad with that one. I think I got 9th place in that one as well. Out of, let's see here, I'm on Tourney X right now looking at my standings. And yep, Lake Wisconsin, I got 9th out of 23. And so after that event, I was like, you know, like, I've actually had a pretty decent season so far. And I was like, all right. So one of my first events, which was a online event, Ketch does a kind of like a like region type thing where they have multiple states involved in like an online tournament. And it was held part of Memorial Day weekend when I had furlough. And it was May 22nd through the 26th, and I took 2nd out of 31 anglers, so that was pretty good. And then the first KBL event, I went down to Newton, and I got 4th out of 41 anglers. And then the Hobie Bass Open Series on Kentucky Lake wasn't too bad. My goal was to do at least, you know, half. And I did actually do a little bit better. I got 57th out of 129 anglers. It definitely was a tough event. And then, let's see here, so the Lake Wisconsin KBL event, I got 9th. I'm sorry, the Wisconsin Member Choice when I flipped, I got 9th. And then, of course, Lake Wisconsin, I got 9th as well. It's like, man, I'm getting a consistent pattern here, you know, top 10 of everything. And I was like, okay, then I started looking at my points with Kayak Bass League, because, you know, we're all gearing for, like, Angler of the Year and to be the top 5 so we can qualify for Crossroads and then the All-American Bass Classic and whatnot. And as of today, which is August 21st, I'm kind of sort of leading for Angler of the Year. Knock on wood, knock on wood. So that's been kind of interesting. So we just had our last regular season event on Spring Lake, which is only about 25 minutes from where I live. I hate that lake so much. So much. If you guys don't know Spring Lake, just think of endless lily pads, and the deepest part of Spring Lake, either if you're fishing on north and south, is 5 foot. That's all the deeper it gets. It's a big flat with lots of lily pads. I mean, you would think it's a bass fisherman's paradise, and it can be certain times of year. Spring is definitely the best time for it, but once those pads come up, it's tough. You know, definitely not one of my favorite places. And there's lots of muskie in there too. Anywho, yeah, that was definitely my dropout event. I did not get 5 fish for that event. I only got 3 or 4. Gosh, I can't even remember. I ended up getting like 19th or something like that out of 26, 27 anglers. So at least that didn't count towards points over, because your season, with some of your points, it's the best 4 out of 5 events. And there's also other extra point activities that you can do as well to help get towards your points, which, you know, I do kind of like to look at how I do point wise, just with the tournaments. So like if I took my points from how I've done in the tournaments and compare those to everybody else, I think I would probably be sitting in, let's see here, tournament-wise, I'm at 680. Top person has 760, and then 750, and then 680. So I'd be about 3rd place right now, which still I think is pretty good. At least, you know, from my perspective, in a sense. So anyway, our championship is coming up next weekend, and it's up in Minocqua. So next week I'm going to be leaving Tuesday after work and spending some very good long hours on the water. We've got a lot of water to choose from up there, so there's going to be a lot of trying to figure out where are the fish, what's holding for patterns, you know, what's boat traffic going to be like. When I was up there for, you know, the family vacation, there was a lot of boat traffic on Minocqua and Lake Tomahawk. So, but now, you know, this time of year, it's getting kind of a little bit chillier, but I don't know, we'll just kind of have to see. But with this championship, you get double points. So, you know, if I want to, you know, go big or go home, this is definitely going to be the event to go to. So yeah, definitely a lot going on with that. Not certain how I feel about it yet. Definitely, I don't know if nervous is the right word, but definitely a little anxious about it. Just, you know, it's not a familiar body of water by no means or anything like that, but and definitely a lot of water to try to figure out. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing. But then after that, before Labor Day weekend, there isn't a whole lot going on. But then, oh baby, you guys better get excited, because it is my most favorite thing, like, ever. Like, it's probably more favorite than bass fishing. We're fishing for king salmon up in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Great Lakes Kayak Fishing Series has their yearly salmon tournament, and that'll be on Saturday, September 12th. Again, I'm going to be driving up there after work, I believe, on Tuesday, and then fishing for a few days beforehand, because this is really like the only time of year I'm up there and get to go up there, so I'm going to make the most of it while I can. So I am I am beyond excited for this event. Like salmon fishing, just ever since I did it for the first time and landed, it was probably like a 20 some odd pound king. And let me tell you, like that can be like an average size for them. So last year I caught a 26-pound king, and it just, oh my god, it's so amazing. So if you guys are interested in going up, you know, hit me up. I can definitely let you guys know what gear you're gonna need and everything. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And then the week after that, there isn't really a whole lot going on, but then that last weekend in September, if I make the top 5 with KBL, is the Crossroads event. So last year was the first year for that, and it was a awesome, successful event. We had, what do we have, 10 teams from 4 different states come and compete. So it was awesome, and I'm hoping, you know, with COVID and everything, that we're going to be able to still have a good time with this and whatnot. So yeah, I know things are still kind of in the works with everything, but we're still planning on having it. And yeah, so that could be a lot of fun. And then, man, we are already at the end of September with that. I mean, gosh, things are like flying by. And then October, man, you know, I'm looking at my calendar here, and I'm like, you know, there would be something really big going on that first full week of October, as long as it's still happening. So, as you guys all know, with COVID, the national championship got postponed, and then it was eventually rescheduled for October 8th, 9th, and 10th. Unfortunately, I have had to withdraw from that event because Adam and we're getting a house! Ah! Yep. So, yeah, those details are kind of still working out and in the midst and everything, but yeah, crazy exciting news. So, you know, as if there isn't a whole lot going on, it's just like, yeah, we're just gonna add some more fun stuff in there. So yeah, we're hoping to, you know, get a good place and get moved and everything. And yeah, it's pretty crazy how fast things have moved. You know, we had heard how good the market was and how good rates were and everything. So we're like, what's it gonna hurt just to, you know, get pre-approved and whatnot. And of course, you know, we got pre-approved, no problem, and house hunting and everything. And we're just like, okay, yeah, this is actually very doable, and there's actually some pretty good stuff out there. So it's been working out pretty awesome. So yeah, keep up to date with Facebook to see more about that. But yeah, no more renting. We're gonna have our own house. Ah! So yeah, yeah, kind of a little bit of a bummer about the national championship this year, but you know, with the way things have been going this year and everything, you know, I'm not too upset about it or anything. And you know, not being able to have the get-togethers and the like convention part of it and everything, you know, that just kind of takes away from the experience as well. So I'm hoping, you know, next year things will be able to happen like normal, and we'll be able to gather in groups and stuff like that. So I'd rather be there for, you know, the better community and camaraderie type stuff for that as well. So yeah, definitely some exciting stuff going on that has happened and that's going to be happening. And yeah, so that's kind of all I've got for you guys right now. Ooh, actually, I do have one more thing. So sorry if you guys aren't watching this right now, but I'll be posting this on my Facebook page as well. Martin Quick, who I had mentioned before, he does graphic design. And I got me my business cards. Look at that. Now I know that's kind of coming out a little bit fuzzy, but I'll have a little bit better quality pictures of those. But yeah, these are super awesome. So yeah, if you're wanting to get your own business cards created, definitely give him a shout out. You know, he's very well reasonably priced, and they got shipped straight to my house. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff. So this weekend, not a whole lot going on, just kind of taking it a little bit easy. Gonna go out to Banner. I feel like I haven't been in there forever, but which I kind of sort of haven't. Which is weird to say, you know, because usually I love fishing Banner, but I haven't been there. I've been neglecting it, but tomorrow it's gonna get some love. It definitely needs some love. Yeah, so anywho, I know this isn't, you know, like too long of an episode, but glad you guys could check it out today. And yeah, we'll have some more updates because, yeah, next weekend's that championship, so my next episode will probably be highlighting how that went. And yeah, keep your fingers crossed for me because definitely need some good mojo for that. Still got, gosh, like 2-3 opportunities to, you know, reach my goal this year of getting that win. So it's been so close. It's been so close. So we'll see how it goes. So anyway, well, I hope y'all have enjoyed the show, and we'll see you on the next adventure.